He's currently the CEO and CTO of Gurango Software, an award-winning global provider of human capital management solutions, serving over 500 customers in 15 different countries. He's currently the president of the Philippine Software Industry Association. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Joey Gurango.
Good afternoon, sir. Join us here, please. Next on our panel, he started his career in the IT industry in 1975. Naku, wow. And worked for multinational companies like Fujitsu, WeServe, Siemens Nixdorf, Comparex Germany, and Unisys Australia in various executive positions. He joined the Philippine Computer Society in 1990 and served as president in 2004 to 2005. He was also the president of the PCS Foundation in 2005 to 2006. He also served as a member of the executive committee of the Southeast Asia Regional Computer Confederation in 2004 to 2005. Currently with the Department of Science and Technology, Information and Communications Technology Office, or DOST-ICTO, as Deputy Executive Director. He also served as a Commissioner of the Commission on Information and Communications Technology, CICT, from 2007 until June 30, 2011. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Monchito Ibrahim. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Also joining us today, Ms. Beryl Lee. She graduated from the University of Manchester with a bachelor's degree in international business, finance, and economics. She co-authored the Philippine Startup Report and is a contributor to Moat's Competitive Advantages of Munger and Buffet Businesses. Beryl sat as director for Southeast Asia at Seed Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Beryl Lee.
Of Seed Asia, ayan. Okay, next up, he graduated with a degree in Political Economy of Industrial Societies from the University of California, Berkeley, and was born in the Philippines but raised by the Bay Area. He is the founder and CEO of Caliber, a Manila-based startup building talent management platform that bridges the gap between education and employment. Caliber was the first Philippine startup to be accepted in Y Combinator and raised a record of 1.9 million in venture funding from global investors, including the founder of eBay, Pierre Omidyar. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Paul Rivera. Good afternoon.
Very, very big names here today. Up next, I'd like to call Mr. Dr. Paco Sandejas. He completed his PhD and MS in electrical engineering from Stanford University, where he was a pioneer of the field of semiconductor nanotechnology and a co-inventor of the grating light valve, one of Stanford's top IP money makers. He graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Applied Physics, summa cum laude, from the University of the Philippines. He's now the managing partner at Nara Ventures, a venture management and advisory group that invested in over 25 high technology companies, with some notable companies being InPHI, SIRF, and Icanos, and Sandbridge. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Paco Sandejas.
Next up, he holds an MS and PhD degree from Purdue University and a BSEE degree from UP Diliman. He's a professor at the Electrical and Electronics Engineering Institute of the University of the Philippines Diliman and the program leader of the DOST-UP Enterprise or Up Enterprise Center for Technopreneurship, where he advises startup companies on technology and business strategy. He is also the co-founder of the Microcontroller Applications Design Contest and was the chair of the Rules Committee and Board of Judges for the World Robotics Olympiad 2010.
Wow.
He was awarded by the Philippine Development Foundation in 2010 for his outstanding achievements in science and engineering education. He was a visiting researcher at the University of California, Berkeley as a Banatao Fellow. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Luis Sison. Good evening, sir. Good evening na, ginabi ko na. Good afternoon.
Up next, I'd like to call Mr. Enzo Tanedo. He obtained his degree in Communication Arts at the Ateneo de Manila University and earned his master's degree at the Harvard Graduate School of Education. He served as associate manager at the FINMA Corporation's newly established FINMA Education Network He is the category head for cloud solutions of PLDT SME Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Enzo Tanedo.
Next up, she graduated from AIE College with a degree in e-commerce. She became the first Filipino writer published by McGraw-Hill Education Asia. Digital Filipino e-commerce workshop ebook. She also partnered with Ateneo de Manila University and eLearning Edge for the Certified Blog and Social Media Entrepreneur Program, promoting the growth of e-commerce in the Philippines since 1999. She is the site owner of Digital Filipino and author of digitalfilipino.com, an e-commerce guide for the e-Filipino and Digital Filipino e-commerce workshop. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Janet Toral.
Last but definitely not least, Mr. Francis Raymond Villanueva, a graduate of the Ateneo de Manila University and the University of San Francisco Graduate School of Management. He became a marketing expert with almost 10 years experience, mostly focused on digital marketing and analytics. Currently heading the marketing team for Voyager Innovations Incorporated, a fully owned subsidiary of Smart Communications focused on creating and enabling innovative digital products and services. The digital customer marketing and analytics team supports the multiple startup brands like TackThis, Babbel Messenger, MePay, and others in all their marketing activities. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Francis Raymond Villanueva.
And there you have it, our contestants for our pageant. Hindi, parang pageant kasi parang... Ito, question and answer portion na Vince. Okay. This is the portion where we say enablers. Okay, ano ba ang enablers? Let's begin to talk about that.
I think this is very important because the people out there who have questions, yung paano ba, how do I start? I need help. These people on stage are the people who can give them the advice, the help, the support, and possibly even the funding that they might need.
Okay, so let's start off from your side muna, Vince. O,
Yes,
sa'yo muna.
so let's start off. Let's let them introduce themselves as well with how they can help you, who they are, and how they can help you. Let's start here, sir.
So Raymond Villanueva, I actually represent a couple of brands today, but I'm gonna talk about TackThis specifically. So this is more for the students who like Facebook. So if you want to start actually selling within Facebook, there's a solution that we're carrying. It's called TackThis, TackThis.com.ph. And in 3 minutes, you can actually have an online store within your Facebook page up and running. So complete e-commerce solution, no problems asked. And then basically you can start from there. And I encourage anybody who wants to try it out, who's budding entrepreneurs. That's actually my advice. You bite on something small first to get the repetition into actually running something. So why not start small? So that's my advice.
All right, Miss Janet, always helping everyone else out there with what she writes. Okay.
Yes. Good afternoon to each and everyone, and congratulations, Go Negosyo, for this very successful event. Palakpakan naman natin ang Go Negosyo! Yan. Para pampa-warm up naman. My name is Janet Toral. I'm an e-commerce advocate for digitalfilipino.com. I help individuals, particularly entrepreneurs, startups, and professionals who would like to learn how they can embrace e-commerce. So basically, we have an e-commerce bootcamp and a digital influencer bootcamp initiative where we provide the necessary training and mentoring. We also have a Startup 100 project where we partner with these aspiring merchants or entrepreneurs to embrace e-commerce in their businesses. Our first startup is iMetrics Asia Pacific Corporation. We're now monitoring the purchases in the business-to-business space to have an idea on the volume of e-commerce in the Philippines. So for those of you who would like to work with us in terms of pursuing your e-commerce startup, apart from attending our boot camps, whether online or face-to-face, we are looking for people who really connect with their passion, who really take the effort of understanding their customer, work on their business model, calibrate, and really be willing to evolve with their business model, and be flexible in working with people, be flexible in working with their ideas. So if you're that kind of person, call me, maybe.
And Enzo.
Hi, my name is Enzo Tanedo. I'm with PLDT SME Nation. I am in product management. So long story short, how do we get this started? The beautiful thing, the elegant thing of what's happening now is resources are becoming easily scalable, quick to procure, and actually cheaper. So for those of you want to be developers, for those of you who want to try things out, for those of you who need a platform or the infrastructure, maybe just a database to play around, the fun thing about PLDT now, and it's great for young guys, is that everyone will tell you, if you want to do something, be prepared to fail fast. I mean to say, gawin mo, experiment ka lang, magkamali ka, bawi lang. And because cloud resources are available today, you don't have to commit big time to try small ideas, which could be the next big thing. So that's me. That's what I like helping people do. And that's why I'm very happy about what I get to do.
Thank you. And Dr. Luis Sison?
All right, I'm Luis Sison from the Enterprise Center for Technopreneurship. May I just have a quick show of hands? How many here are from, how many here are students or teachers? Raise your hand, please. Okay, I'm from the academe, and Enterprise was founded to help people like you, including recent graduates, to bring your ideas to the market, to help you identify opportunities, and then find customers, find investors, and then make your venture a reality. So we run a program called the Innovation Acceleration Program. It's phase 1 is what we call the Technopreneurship class. In one semester, it's a very hands-on program. You actually build your venture from scratch. And then there's phase 2, where after you've identified your market, then we make sure that you have everything you need from investors, workspace, team, and then you start executing on your business plan. And this year, we're launching a new program where we reach out to other universities that have entrepreneurship classes, who have technology programs, and tap into the potential innovations of your campus. So we're launching that this year, and along with our 4th batch of startups. So if you're interested, check us out.
Wonderful news. All right, Dr. Sandejas.
Good afternoon, I'm Paco Sandejas. Most of the people in the entrepreneurship community know me as the founder of Nara Venture Capital. And in venture capital, we invest in high-tech startups. But lately, we've been morphing into what is called Nara Ventures as a group, because it turns out that most companies that we invest in don't just need money. Money is kind of easy to get. There's so much money actually in the Philippines. It's just looking for a place to invest. What really many entrepreneurs need is good, sound strategic advice, good mentoring, and sometimes also the network. And by the way, the other thing that people know Nara Venture Capital for is the brain gain. Brain gain is something we started about 22 years ago at Stanford University, when fellow PhD student Dr. Mark Loinas, founder of Eleros, now it belongs to Broadcom. Mark and I were PhDs in electrical engineering. There were not enough Filipino engineers if we ever wanted to do one here in the Philippines. So we said, let's network so we can find more. And today I'm happy to see so many interested entrepreneurial engineers, because that's what it's all about. You can't start one good company all by yourself. You'll need a lot of people to work with. The next thing we found is we need also, if you're in IT, there's software. And so we have StratPoint Services. We do software. We have a hardware company, Septo Computing. So if you really need to integrate the whole IT system, you also need to touch it. And so we have a hardware company. And you have to pay for things. So we also have a company called Colixo. And there are other companies we invest in the States. 70% of our investments are in the US, and we try to transfer some of that technology to the Philippines and other parts of Asia. So that's what we do. I can answer questions
So
later.
with these things, what you mean is you don't just fund them, you actually partner with them?
Yeah,
Somewhat,
it looks
yeah.
like funding is just the beginning of a very long process. So I think in the introduction, there were 2 companies that recently went public under NARA. And those companies took 10 years to go public from the day we invested in them. So it's going to be long and hard. So I'm actually older than maybe I look, but it's really hard.
All right, sir.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Paul Rivera. I'm the founder and CEO of Caliber. also a Balikbayan. Caliber is the second company I've started in the Philippines. The first is a company called Open Access BPO, which I started in 2007, which has over 300 employees today. And as you guys know, BPO has been one of the economic drivers of the Philippines. It contributes about $20 billion a year to our GDP. And in BPO, like many other companies in the Philippines, you have no shortage of candidates. You have no shortage of resumes. What's often very difficult is to identify who to hire, right? Making sure that you hire the person with the right skills, the right capabilities, the right characteristics, and that's what we do at Caliber. We reverse engineer job descriptions to identify the skills that someone needs to qualify for that job, and then we create online assessments so that job candidates can test and pre-qualify for jobs, so it saves them time so that they're only going to job interviews they're qualified for, and it saves companies time so that they're only spending their precious time with the most qualified candidates. As mentioned earlier, we've raised $1.9 million in venture funding from global investors. It took me over a year to raise that money, and as Paco was saying, you know, raising money requires networks, and one of the things that I started last year was a platform called Manila Angels. Manila Angels is an angel platform that allows an entrepreneur or a startup to submit a 2-minute video and have that viewed by 40 of the top angel investors, not only in the Philippines, but in Australia, in San Francisco, and really around the world. So we want to democratize access to capital, and we now allow any entrepreneur, even if they don't have a powerful network, to access the network within Manila Angels if they have a solid team and a solid business idea to pitch.
2-minute video.
2-minute video, yeah.
Okay, looks very interesting. All right, Beryl, of course, from Seed Asia.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Beryl Lee, and I used to run Seed Asia, and now working on my startup, while I actually work on the World Startup Report with a guy who's been traveling around the world and analyzing each ecosystem, startup ecosystem, you know, around the world. So my specialization or focus is raising funding for technology startups. So if any of you have really good ideas in software, hardware, lean asset technology, and applications, you know whom to look for. We raise funding from people around the world, and we're looking for startups, you know, in the Philippines and China and Southeast Asia. So, yeah.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. I'm Mon Ibrahim. I guess I'm the only government guy here. I actually.
We need you, sir. We need you here.
Really? Thank you so much. I'm actually the Deputy Executive Director of the ICT Office, which is under the Department of Science and Technology. Our involvement in the startup space in the country is basically on advocacy, trying to drive the development of the startup ecosystem in the country, bringing some of these startup ideas to the rural areas. And we've been doing this for the last 2 years, doing startup roadshows, okay, in all over the country actually. And we are primarily the ones connecting the dots, connecting some of the startups with the accelerators. We work with a lot, with some of the guys here, mainly with the Philippine Software Industry Association. We have a joint collaboration. And we're actually, DOST, which is actually the innovation agency of the government, is actually providing a lot of support, including funding to startups. So we're so excited to see a lot of developments happening in technopreneurship in the Philippines, and the government is definitely supporting a lot of these initiatives.
Wonderful. And of course, Sir Joey.
Hi, I'm Joey Garango. My day job is that I'm the president and CTO of Garango Software, a software company based here in the Philippines. But my advocacy is as president of the Philippine Software Industry Association. So essentially, we're an association comprised of the top software companies based in the Philippines. We have 170 members. But for today's event, that's not really what I'm here for. I'm here to talk to you about the part of our advocacy that has to do with new startup software companies. We have a special interest group within our association called the Software Products Incubation Group. And what we do there is we conduct 3 events per year called Launchpad. And in those events, we invite young entrepreneurs, software entrepreneurs who have product ideas, and they present. And we judge them, and those who have the most promising ideas are taken into the incubation program. We've run this now for the last 2 years. We have 24 product teams within our program. Our goal is to reach 50 by this year. And 50 is a magic number because we believe if we select 50 teams, of those 50 teams, at least 10 of them can be turned into million-dollar companies. So our goal is to find 10 product ideas that can become $1 million a year companies in the near future. And I think we're pretty close because we already have 24 teams. The other thing which the audience might be interested in is that in the second half of this year, we will be launching something called the Student Startup Competition, where we will be inviting student teams from different different campuses, from different universities, to participate in a series of workshops where we will actually train them on how to start, grow, and manage a startup. And the student teams that would like to participate will have to do their first pitch in August. And several months later, we'll have our finals in December. The winning team will get a grant of 500,000 pesos to get their startup started, but only if they decide to actually go into business after they graduate. So they only get the funds if they actually start the business. And it's a grant. It will not require them to give up any equity or a loan or anything like that. So that's what the PSIA is doing for this segment of the industry, and I hope to see some of you during our events.
Wow, no equity, oh. Tapos 26 more to go kasi 24 na.
26 more to go.
Okay. Maybe the best way to start this question will be boring for you guys, okay? But I just have to do it, just to make it less intimidating to some of our audience members, okay? Earlier on, Vince, we asked what a startup was to the technopreneurs. But as enablers, what is actually a startup? Incubator, accelerator, what are all these words? I know they're boring to you, you're so used to these words already, but please enlighten our audience as well. Just a basic description. Ayan, they really found it that boring already. Okay.
I guess they're pointing at the only professor here in the group, no?
Please, do the honors.
So I will try to avoid going into lecture mode. No? In
Okay,
fact,
basic. Oh.
in my intro talk, no, natutulog now. I have that effect on people. No? But I explicitly try to avoid using the term incubator or accelerator in my intro. Essentially, what we try to do is try to support all the enablers here. Try to support a startup from every conceivable stage. May life cycle yung startup eh. Parang pagbata, toddler, childhood, then
Parang
teenager.
egg to chicken. Marami,
yes,
okay.
So may phases yan. And everyone here on this panel will support wherever you are. Kahit idea pa lang, you have an inspiration, we support that. Joey says, if you're a student, you join the contest, you'll get a 500,000 grant. If you have some customers already, you need some help marketing or scaling up, you have venture capital groups like Paco, and then you have angels. What's an angel? I guess maybe I'll let Paul talk about that. But the idea is, toss aside the terms, and then whenever you are, there's somebody who can help you in the Philippine ecosystem. It's all here right now. No? Earlier was talking about idea space. So kahit saang lugar ka sa Pilipinas, kahit saang stage ka, we're always there to help.
Why this excitement for startups? Ayan, why is everyone... Actually, we're doing it right already. We're actually going younger students. We're already tapping students. Medyo matagal na, we've been doing it also. But this excitement for startups, what is it all about?
Well, I guess in my opinion, a startup is an experiment, right? That's really fundamentally what it is. And as a startup, what you're trying to do is validate whether or not this experiment works. And if the experiment works, then what you begin to do is begin to seek resources, money, to continue the experiment, right? And where an angel comes in, an angel is often a wealthy individual who may have been an entrepreneur, and they often are the first people to give you money. An angel typically gives you between $10,000 to $100,000. An angel does not require a board seat. An angel doesn't want to be often involved in the startup. They want to give you money on the belief that you will continue to continue your experiment in the hopes of building a company in the near future. Yeah.
All right, very well explained. So, as I was saying, Vince, saan nanggaling to? Why this excitement na malalaking mga kumpanya, ayan, with the startups? Is there really that, kasi dahil ba sa potential ayan, si Sir Joey?
Yeah, I think the excitement from startups comes from the fact that if you go back in the last 10, 15, 20 years, almost all of the major innovations that have entered into the IT industry did not come from big established companies. You know, the IBMs and the HPs of the world, they're not the ones that have come up with the great big ideas that became, you know, billion-dollar ideas. It's hard to imagine, but if you think just 10 years ago, wala pang Facebook, right? And because of what somebody did in a startup in the dorm room of a college, we now have over 1.5 billion users around the world using Facebook. That was a startup. Same with Google, same with Amazon. Almost all of the major innovations that have come up in the last 10 years came from a startup idea. So it's obvious that you can be excited about it because in the Philippines, can you imagine what it'd be like if we had 10 Facebook-like ideas in the Philippines today, each being worth multi-billion dollars, what that would do to our economy? So it doesn't take many. No, it just takes a few, but somewhere out there is a seed called a startup, which could eventually become a very big tree, and we're looking for that startup.
There you go. Well, speaking of startups, there's a lot of young people, a lot of students here. Ano ang kailangan nila? What does a student, a young person need to be a successful technopreneur? What are your recommendations?
I can start with that. Actually, my advice, I'm coming from the customer marketing end. My advice is to keep it simple. I think that's one of the things is that there's so many problems and you might get overwhelmed, but I really want to focus on maybe you start off with one problem that you want to solve and you have to solve it really well. Then you expand, then you expand, then you expand. I think that's kind of like one of the problems that we're seeing in startups that we encounter is that they want to complete the whole ecosystem right away. And trust me, it's very difficult, but from the successes that we see is that they answer one simple customer question, and then they expand to the other features that they want to do. I guess that's the experimentation that they were talking about earlier.
I'll go back to your question also, then I'll go to this one. The real reason why it's so exciting now, I think human nature, we're greedy. It's money. Admit it, everyone, it's money, right? You want to make money. It's okay, as long as you use it well later, maybe. But the hype is there. It's like the dot-com bubble about, what, 16 years ago, 15 years ago, 1999, year 2000 came, the bubble exploded. But everyone at that time was so excited, everything became .com, and we saw it in the US, and it even reached the shores of Manila. Every MBA who wasn't an engineer said, I'm gonna put .com to my name and I'll be a millionaire. Well, today it's becoming the same thing. So I'm saying this because the guys here are not successful because they just did something as simple as doing a .com. Now maybe it's doing a .mobile. You're putting your stuff on a mobile phone and suddenly you're a millionaire. It's really not that easy. So my advice now to the people who want to be successful, have their own business, and make money for their families is, yes, you can go at it, but be careful because look around you. How many thousands may be here today? All of you are going to compete against each other, right? Like many people want to be a skater now, but the same thing. So my advice is you have to study hard. You have to be a very deep engineer and have a deep understanding of business as well, because you cannot compete if you don't grasp that. Because the people around you, and not only here, but in China, in India, in Vietnam, they will compete with you. Look, the guy who came here is German, right? He's bringing all the technology. He's gonna fight you guys. You gotta fight him if you want to grab the taxi. So be smart and have experience, because you need experience to capture the market that you talked about. To understand the problem, you can't just understand the problem from your dorm room or from the classroom. Go out, experience the problems of real business people. Then, after that experience, you say, okay, partner with the good engineers, the good business people, then I think you'll have a successful startup. That's my advice.
I think to follow on with Paco said, I think a lot of the people here are students. When you graduate from school, what you want to optimize for is not money, but learning, right? You want to continue to learn new skills that will allow you to one day be an entrepreneur on your own. In my opinion, the best way to continue to optimize your learning is not to join some big corporation and to be at the bottom of that ladder, but to actually join a startup, right? Because joining a startup allows you to wear many different hats and acquire multiple skills that will allow you to one day build your own startup. When I graduated from Berkeley, I spent my first 2 jobs were at 2 startups. One was called Mercantila, and the other startup was called Google. So it was through those experiences of working at a startup. It was a pretty big startup at that point, but it was, they still had that mentality, but it was by working at 2 startups that I was able to start my own startup, a few years later. It didn't happen overnight.
All right, you mentioned earlier on also about yung greed. It reminds me of the show. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Shark Tank. 5 investors and then people pitch in to them trying to get noticed as well with their startups. So that's my question. Ayan, I'm a student. I'm here. I have an idea. I have a solution for a problem. I want to get noticed. How will you mind me? How will the government notice me? How will I join this? How will you want to actually have an angel connect with me as well? Maybe Beryl from Seed Asia first. Ayan. Paano mo ako mapapansin?
So number 1, I think people need to learn how to network. Don't be scared to actually reach out to people in the technology scene, because we're really, really happy to help, and we're happy to listen to you, listen to your ideas, and help you. So these people right here, like on the stage, have made it, have done that. So they really, really want to actually give back something to the society. And they're here because they really want to help you. So don't be scared to approach any of us.
Our office actually is supporting several startup weekends since about 2 years ago. And in fact, we have programmed to actually support at least 5 more startup weekends this year outside of Metro Manila. Okay, so we're actually bringing pitching competitions to the provinces today. And if you want, anyone of you would like to be noticed by people, first thing you need to do is actually develop your 1-minute elevator pitch. You have to have a very good understanding of the problem that you're trying to solve and the solution that you have. Okay, and be able, and it's actually a learning experience for you to actually see if you're catching the attention of the judges. Okay, that's a very good learning experience for people who would like to actually learn how to pitch their ideas.
Pitching, that's right, actually. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
One of the first exercises we have students do in our technopreneurship class is simple, no? Find one customer. Not do a market survey, not, and have 5 fictitious customers on your survey form. No? It's find one live customer that's willing to make a commitment to you. And what we often find is by the end, when we have demo day at the end of the SEM, our panelists and investors, they are naturally drawn to the teams, to the ventures with customers. It doesn't matter if you have a highfalutin pitch, a high-tech product. If you don't have customers, they don't pay as much attention to you as ventures that have actual customers that they're working with.
Real-life application yan, Enzo?
I want to piggyback now. Unlike most everyone here comes from a entrepreneurial or startup background, I'm with PLDT, which is very big and also very, very old. And sometimes we have been accused, diba Earl and Raymond, of being very, very slow. So what we do is we hire young people, possibly some like you, with entrepreneurial mindsets. And the question really goes, what do they do from there? No? Lots of people have very, very good ideas. And to echo the good professor beside me, a lot of it really is execution. I think everyone in this room has fantastic ideas. The guy who shines my shoes and washes my shirt and cuts my hair has excellent ideas. But the difference between him and someone who's successful really is execution. So here comes in the part, how well do you work with other people? How well do you deliver? How well do you communicate? How well do you get that customer happy and make that happen over and over and over again? On a lot of levels, maybe the service will speak for itself, the app, the technology, and so forth. But how you get that out there by working with many other parties, sometimes is the secret.
Janet, you want to add to that?
I think what I would like to add is that if you're a startup or an aspiring startup, you have to go out of your way and really study. There are so many resources available online. Like in our case, we have free boot camps online where people can join. And I remember recently, there was one startup who enrolled in our boot camp and took all the free learning programs there. And later on, I think he bidded for an idea space competition. And while he was preparing for his entry, he was emailing me, asking for a lot of advice. And when I realized that his paper, I know someone who can help him better rather than me, I ended up referring him to that mentor. Although as he bidded for that project, I think he didn't qualify because I think his project is an e-commerce project. But eventually, he still pushed forward and he got funded. And he got funded through another channel or another platform. So meaning, when you approach for help, and I guess all of us will agree here that when you approach us, we're not looking at you from an immediate perspective that you're going to partner with us. I think you have to trust in us also that we're here first to help you. And if we really feel that there's a match between you and us, then we will pursue the relationship with you. And if we feel that there's no match, but we feel that there's another entity or another person who can help you better, we will refer you there. But don't hesitate to reach out. Sabi nga nila, ask and you shall get. No? Sometimes you have to seek and you shall find. No? So you really have to go out of your way, be brave. And if you fear that you don't have an identity online, go out of your way and build an identity for yourself. You have to build your digital influence. If you will not do that for yourself, you owe that to yourself because whatever influence that you invest to build your influence, that will rub off to whatever products or services that you're going to build. That's why in our case, we really work hard enough on building that influence because that's the only way that we can also help the startups that we will support through our startup project.
Now, with the
I have 2 numbers you should remember. You talking about customers, right? Just to echo that, if you want to be globally recognized by the VCs, have at least 1 million users. Now in the Philippines, maybe the bar might be a little lower because it's a smaller market. I would guess 100,000 users, then you can talk to the serious money.
With that, can I ask, what else do you look for in a business or in a person that you're willing to invest into? Sir?
Maraming magaling na idea, di ba? There's actually many ideas are very cheap. They're very easy to get. At the end of the day, ang i-investa ng mga investor is yung tao, the individual. So as Paco said, you're all competing with each other. But let's be honest, okay? The truth is, not everybody is meant to be a technopreneur. So I'd like to share the 3 things that I look for, characteristic, ugali ng technopreneur, lalo na mga estudyante, okay? Number 1, if you like to follow directions, you cannot be a good technopreneur. You must be willing to break rules and not follow directions. Kung yung tipo mo is, pag sinabi sa'yo gawin mo to, you do it exactly the way you're told, you're probably not a good technopreneur material.
Kailangan pasaway.
Yeah, because you're always following instructions. Good technopreneurs look for different ways to do things. The same thing, pero their own way. Number 1 yon. Number 2, you must be ambitiously lazy. Okay, you must be willing to work very hard today so you won't have to work hard tomorrow. That's called ambitiously lazy. I'm ambitious because I want to accomplish something, but I'm lazy because I don't want to be working this hard for the rest of my life. Okay? So kung ganun ang pag-iisip mo, you can be a good technopreneur. The third characteristic, and most important, is you have to be willing to be insanely hardworking. Okay? So if you really believe that by walking from here to Baguio and back, your startup will succeed, and you are willing to do that, and you will do that, then you have what it takes to be a technopreneur. If you think that going without food except for bread and water for 30 days will help you make your startup succeed, and you are willing to do that, you can be a good technopreneur. So if you're not willing to work insanely hard at your idea, you are not going to be a good technopreneur. Okay. So talagang not everybody is meant to be one. And if you think you have those characteristics, then I invite you to take the step and start your own startup.
Okay, paalala lang po, we are not pushing for you guys to be crazy, okay? But we do actually like what you say. You're giving us secrets actually. Paano nyo kami mapapansin? Paano nyo kami mapipili once we have that idea?
I wish he could have told that to my teacher when she always told me I was naughty and I wasn't following the rules and
Pero
everything.
yung pang-una, ibig sabihin, a good technopreneur is not a good asawa. Pasaway eh. Okay? All right. No, actually, that's what we want to hear, Vince. Very good question. What are these characteristics? Sir Joey mentioned some. Anything else that you want to add on?
Actually, I do. I think you have to be creative. And creativity doesn't mean that it's always out of the box or it's a brand new idea. Actually, the best creative ideas are combining 2 seemingly mundane ideas and then combining it together to create this super idea. Just by that way of thinking, for example, I combine your cell phone with taxi, then you have Easy Taxi. Just by those types of ideas, you can create something really great. And I think that's my advice.
Okay, magkaalaman na tayo. Give us some examples of these startups that talagang, when you saw these people who were pushing for them, and you as enablers saw something, what happened to them? Any success stories? Any stories you want to share?
I think one of my favorite success stories would be Lendo. Primarily because that was born out of opportunity. When Manila was struck by Typhoon Ondoy, Richard Eldridge wanted to give loans for his employees in Manila, but when he realized that a lot of the young people are not qualified to get loans, he decided that this can be a startup project, which turns out to be a private lending company that loans anywhere from 5,000 to 45,000 pesos. When he studied that the concept can not only apply in Manila, it can also apply in the country, and it can also apply in other countries, he put up the business, then that became Lendo. And what we can be proud of as Filipinos is that it's the world's first credit scoring service using your social network as your, what you call that, like a guarantor, because you can get a loan without necessarily getting a person who can co-make your loan, but basically your trusted contacts will make you qualify to get a loan. And this concept is now also accessible in Colombia, and it will be brought to Indonesia. So I guess the lesson learned there is that you don't really have to go for something, something groundbreaking with your idea. Sometimes the problem is already at your face, it's already there, and it's just making it work or finding solutions to make it work.
I think my favorite Philippine startup success story is Mang Inasal, right? So Mang Inasal came out of nowhere, and then over the next just a few years, built several hundred chains of chicken, right? Barbecue chicken. And what they did is what I like to call they created a Mang Inasal problem, where they got so big and so good that their nearest competitor had no choice but to buy them, right? And so Jollibee had a Mang Inasal problem, and they couldn't compete. So the only thing that they could do was spend, I think, 800 million pesos to buy, or it was more, I think. It was like 1.6 billion pesos for chicken, right? So it's not innovative, but they saw a need, and they found customers that wanted really good, really cheap barbecue chicken with unlimited rice, right? So when you can, try to find and create a Mang Inasal problem for a market that you're trying to attack, and then you never know what will happen, and maybe a Jollibee will decide to acquire you.
Wow, there you go. Anyway, we're short on time, so we want to open up the floor now. If there are people who want to ask, take this opportunity to ask questions to these amazing, smart people on stage. I believe we'll have, is Mike going around, or I can go around? If you have a question.
Vince, okay, I'll go down first again. You stay here.
I can go around.
Polite naman masyado. Okay, go ahead. Vince will be going around. We have one question actually there. Yes, sir. What's your name and your question?
I'm Marbert from UP Manila. So as a student, and of course we're studying also computer science ethics, and one of which is that when we develop software, it's in a threat of being copied by others. So a concern is that as of course, a computer scientist, I want my software to be identified to myself. I don't want others to copy it and others to sell it cheaply to others. So it's not just a problem of the money earning, but it's more of an identification that this software is a product, is my product. So with that, so would you advise that, how will you start up a project with that, threat? How will you start it up with that threat, knowing that your software is in a threat of being copied by others? So will you advise that invest in that market, or how do you find other markets for your software to be produced?
Yeah, first of all, copying is the best form of flattery, no? So if somebody wants to copy your software, ibig sabihin meron kang ginawang magaling. Kung di magaling yung ginagawa mo, walang kakopy sa'yo. But actually, from a non-legal, non-political, and purely technological standpoint, copying is no longer a problem, okay? Because copying was an issue that existed when the only way we could deliver our software was on floppy disks and CDs. Today, most of the software being delivered are being delivered in the cloud, on mobile devices. You know, they require some kind of connection to some central source to be usable. And when you have that, we can control who uses the software. So my short answer to your question is that it's not an issue today. It should not be an issue. And if it ends up being an issue in your particular software product idea, meron kang kailangan gawin. There's a way to address it. But really, copying software piracy is no longer an issue for the kinds of products that are being developed today.
Maybe just to add to that, even sa mga .coms, no, sometimes our problems is that our websites or our ideas can be copied. For example, in our case, we have an e-learning site. We have a model for our e-learning site, and sooner or later, we find others doing the same, and some will even copy how we look like and how our programs would look like. And I think the challenge there for entrepreneurs is that that's why we have to be always at our toes and find a way that we can always be a step ahead, so that by the time that they are able to copy us, then we have already expanded what we're doing. So, basta importante lang, go ka lang ng go, no? Go ka lang ng go. Huwag mo silang pansinin. Kasi I think as long as your customers love you, they will stick with you.
Get a lawyer. And get good advice from
Any,
people
any
like
cheaper
Joey.
suggestions?
No, you have to get a lawyer. It's just business, right?
3 beautiful answers, actually. Take your pick or use them all. Thank you very much.
Okay, here's our next question.
Good afternoon po. I'm Jobert po from AUP, from Adventist University. So here's my question. There's a research that I've learned 90% of students taking up business courses didn't really involve in business after they graduated. Instead, they ended up with becoming an employee or unemployed. So what can you say about that, or what are your advice?
Oo nga, maraming ganyan. Yung hindi nakapag-graduate, super big-time negosyante na. Oh, tapos the opposite. What can you say about that?
Well, first of all, that statistic doesn't only apply to business students. It applies to all college graduates, right? The truth is, only 2% of people who come out of college will end up becoming a successful entrepreneur. 2%. Okay? Siguro sa grupong ito, I'm the only one that does not have a college degree. I never graduated from college. Okay, so 2%, right? But the point is that it's really, as I said kanina, this career choice is not for everybody. It's for the select few people who really have a passion and a dream to start something small that will eventually become something big. That is not something most people are willing to sacrifice for. So, yung statistic na yan, hindi lang yan para sa business graduates. It's true for all college graduates. So, what we're really looking for here, we're not trying to get everybody here to become technopreneurs. We're looking for that 2%, 2 out of 100, that can become successful entrepreneurs. That's all we need. If we can get that, we will have a very, very successful country.
And if I could add to that, no, just so that everyone knows, hindi po kami nandito para lahat mag-quit ng trabaho at maging negosyante. What we want to actually give is an entrepreneurial mindset para no matter where you are, even if you're working for a corporation, a company, or having your own business, you actually have that with you as well. Okay.
Okay, our next question.
Good afternoon. I'm Gershela. I'm from the LGU. I'm a computer engineer, and I have a postgraduate degree in innovation and entrepreneurship from Australia, and also studied short course in Japan. My question is, how could you help in enabling communities? How do you help in enabling the economic enterprises of LGUs? How do you help build entrepreneurial communities? And how would you help them catch up technologically, especially in the not so big cities, especially in the LGUs? I'm from Mindanao, that's why I'm asking that. Thank you.
Nobody else from government
Yes,
here?
all about government, sir. You will have to take care of.
We are actually working with about 33 ICT councils all over the Philippines, okay? And every ICT council is actually not just composed of people from the local government, but as well as people from academia and the business sector in that city or province. We collaborate with them. We let them know how we can actually help with this budding technopreneurs in their cities, and help them get connected with the other enablers in this panel. We've done this in several cities today, and we're going to be continuing. We're going to continue doing this in the next 3 years. So please let us know if you actually know of somebody who needs help, and we'll take care of that.
Okay, here we go with our next question, sir.
I'm Archie Floreno from Batang Negosyante Ako Club. Itatanong ko lang po regarding sa, di ba, ang entrepreneurs, may iba't ibang mga caps na sinusuot, di ba, no? Ma-acquire different business skills. Kung startup entrepreneur po ako, ano po sa mga different caps or skills na major na kinakailangan kong matutunan agad-agad? Yun po.
Sa rami-rami pagpipilian ng mga skills, ano ba yung pinakakailangan niya?
I'm biased. I would say understanding the customer more than anything. Kasi to be honest with you, we're not creating products for the sake of creating products. We're trying to create products that would actually help the customer. So if there's anything that I would advise is that really try to understand the customer. So it doesn't mean that it's marketing. It's actually really more on like how you develop the product, how a user would actually use it. And obviously part of it is also how you would position your brand in terms of, everything else. But definitely that customer point of view is, for me, the most important. I'm not sure if...
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Understanding the customer is absolutely key. I think from my perspective, you also need to be able to recruit talent. So you have to be able to recruit people to work with you that ideally complement you in skills that you may not be so good in. So if you're an engineer, maybe you try to find someone who is very business savvy or marketing savvy to fill in the gaps. So I think being able to recruit and retain talent in a team is key, because most successful startups don't start with just one person. It's often a group of guys or a group of girls in a garage or in a room working on an idea until it begins to bear some fruit.
If I can break that down to maybe a bare skill, ako communication lang talaga, which is the bigger part is being able to listen and also being able to express yourself. Without that, all these bigger things, whether you want to call it marketing, whether you want to call it building cross-functional teams, etc., they fall apart.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Good news and bad news. Bad news, it's the last question. I know a lot of people are raising their hand. But good news is I'm sure a lot of these technopreneurs on stage can be found online. Their emails or Twitter or something. I'm sure you can find them if you have the right business to pitch. So, sir, please introduce yourself.
I am Dexter, and I just want to ask our angel investors, the enablers, and also government, Sir Monchito, what's the cost of funding the idea and funding the entire project on your side? Of course, we're going to partner, do something together. So you said you guys are going to help us. So I just want to find out, after the monetary exchange, what's the bottom lines that you guys are looking at? Maybe for the government.
Like, what do they get out of it?
Yeah, what do you guys get out of it?
Are you asking
exchange?
how much money is
What do you
needed?
guys get out of it, basically?
What do you guys get out? Yeah,
Or
what-
how much
Equity?
equity I get?
Yeah, of course it depends per idea, but just a ballpark to get things started.
Maybe
Because
the
of-
simple question is, what's it in for you guys? Basically, it's equity, right?
You know, we're all sorts of different animals here. So each one has their own appetite.
Who do you want to start off with?
But average is for the traditional, since I'm the old fogey here, traditional venture capitalists, it would be like 10 to 20%. And if it's really, we're coming in early and somebody really wants to take a big stake, it could be 40%. Like Benchmark had 40% of eBay, right? Those are numbers. But angels can go down to any small number, whatever.
I guess what
And
you
it's
also
all
have
math. It's all math.
Well,
Whatever value you have, whatever money, it's prorated.
aside from the funding, I think it's also the experience, the guidance, the network that you're actually getting into as well.
And
Yeah.
Dexter wanted to ask about government as well. What does the government get out of helping?
Bakit daw kayo tumutulong, sir? Bakit nga ba tumutulong ang gobyerno sa atin? No, but seriously, sir. O sige, sagutin na lang
Okay,
natin.
actually we have funding facilities. We currently have funding facility with the DOST. Some of them actually you will have to eventually pay for it with no interest. We're trying to actually work on something that, but not really that big amount, that would hopefully help with these startups finance their work probably the first 3 months, okay? And we're still working on it. We have not yet launched this facility.
All right. Yeah, sir.
May I also add to Sir Mon? We have an arrangement with some of our angels that if they choose to fund a startup from our university, DOST has this facility called the Technicom program, where they can give grants for equipment, for supplies, etc. And then that together with the private investment usually is a good start for your startup.
All right, thank you. Maybe we'll start from this side naman kay Sir Joey. Just a few words to all our wonderful students out there hungry for this success in the startup world. Okay.
What motto do you live by? I'm joking. No.
Beauty
Last piece of
contest.
advice. It's like a
Okay.
slum book.
We look forward to having you guys join our student startup competition. We will be sending out information to all the schools that we have on our database. If you don't hear about anything from your school by July, tell them to get the information for you. So I hope to see most of you again by the end of the year.
And the 2% of you also.
The 2% of you, yeah.
Okay, sir?
Okay, well, I guess my advice is for them not to be afraid of failure, just as long as you learn from every failure that you're going to experience. But make sure that you also fail fast, no? So that's the essence of it.
I would advise everyone to take everything as a learning experience. So once you fail, stand up again. You know, we have amazing stories like Walt Disney, you know, failing many times, getting rejected many times, but he never stopped, you know. Even people criticized him, thinking that he's crazy, you know. He still stood up and worked, you know, pivoted, it doesn't matter. Looked for advisors, looked for mentors who could advise you, and reach out. Keep networking, because people out there are willing to help you.
My advice is you have to dream very, very big, and you can't give up. And I'll share a quick story. 2 years ago, when I first started Caliber, you know, I was like one of you guys. I was out there trying to figure out how to talk to investors, right? And I would email a lot of investors, and one of the guys that I looked up to and one of the guys that I emailed is actually Paco. Right, so I would email Paco, and he would never reply to me. True. He probably gets these emails all the time, right? But I didn't give up. And I saw Paco at an event, the Cal alumni event, and I finally came up to him and said, Paco, I'd like to introduce myself. This is the startup that I'm doing. And now I'm on a stage with him, right? So one of my dreams has come true. And so I'm a big believer that if you work hard enough, dreams can come true. So I'm very honored to be here next to you.
Wait lang. Papahirapan ko lang si Paco, ha? Kasi pinahirapan niya to eh. Paco, we have a rule here sa ating panel, no? When it comes almost halfway and all the advice has been given, you have to be very creative with yours. So the pressure's on you. May song number yan, may dance number, iba-iba. Yung kanina may prayer, especially when it gets to you. No pressure. Okay. Paco, your advice.
It's hard to follow that one. I'm boring, so you just gotta be...
Pwede mo simulan sa, you know, before, 2 years ago, a guy was emailing me and I wasn't answering
maybe
him.
25 years ago. No. It's just a lot of hard work. You know, the IPO that I talked about, which happened 3 years ago, the company's called Infi. There were 3 guys, one Indian heavy-set guy, one American white guy, and a Vietnamese American, all different backgrounds. One super smart fellow Stanford alum, engineer, he can design anything, and it was really hard semiconductor stuff. The other guy was a really savvy, smart financial type. The thing is, it had a hard time. We almost gave up. Other investors were not going to give them money anymore. And Dado Tallwood and Nara, we were invested there. And Dado confronted the other investors. You either have conviction or you don't. Are you with me or are you not? He threatened them. And they put the money in. That was 4 years ago, was 4 years in. It was really struggling, 2004. Well, today they're public and they're like worth 300 million. They're all rich. And what really I saw there was they worked really hard and they were very smart. So you guys, maybe you're geniuses, maybe you're semi-geniuses, but you also have to just work hard, And I think I started on the wrong foot saying it's all about money. Some of us are not all about money.
Bumawi, oh.
Atras ng konti, atras, backpedal. It's also about making a difference in the world. Your companies should hopefully make a difference. But if you want to be rich only, that's fine. The investors also, our job is to make money. But ideally, we make money by making a difference in the world. I saw PLDT, they said we don't do gambling. I like that. That's impressive.
Thank you very much, Paco.
Professor? All right. If you need help, visit us on Facebook, Pinoy Tech Startup. You can also check out our website, enterprise.upd.edu.ph. We're open for our next batch. We have a summer batch coming up. So these will be teams from our Technopreneurship class, as well as teams that have already applied, some of our faculty and research teams. So if you need help, give us a call. Some of my staff is here. Nandiyan si Jeff. Jeff, kaway ka naman. Okay, siya yung coordinator namin. Siya yung taga-kulit to sa mga teams namin. Make sure they're on track and executing according to plan. We're also looking for university partners. Okay, so we're launching a program outreach this year. We'd like to help other universities tap into the innovation talent in their respective communities and bring that out, make an impact with whatever you have. Don't just leave the thesis lying in the gathering dust in the libraries. Let's bring them out and make an impact with them. Thank you.
Enzo?
I want to end with words from the famous philosopher and Renaissance man, Drizzy, aka Drake. He said YOLO. On a serious note, what that means is you only live once. Please take crazy risks, crazy chances. Don't be afraid to be the 2%. If everyone's doing it the same way, do it the other way. But a last piece of business advice. Always answer your phone. You won't know who that person is who's calling you. Always read your email.
Or email.
Read
Answer
your
the email.
Mr. Sandeas, Dr. Sandeas. And always, always, always take the meeting. It could be at 9 o'clock p.m. It could be at 9 o'clock a.m. Take the meeting, be early.
Concrete.
And above all things, Raymond V, YOLO. YOLO.
Uy, pero may kabaliktad ang YOLO, YODO. You only die once din. No, but thank you for those concrete advice. Okay, Janet.
Siguro on our end, since Digital Filipino has been there since 1999, and our community has been there for quite some time, I've seen a lot of startups that have started small, went big time, and some of them move on to other things. And I guess with that, medyo mas realistic yung aking perspective pagdating sa mga startups. There's no startup that is too small or too big. At the end of the day, you pursue the things that will make you happy, no? Even if you're a real estate entrepreneur, what will make you happy is to be able to put up a real estate website and be able to sell rentals and sell properties to your target clients. If that's your startup idea, we're there to help you. Kumbaga, at the end of the day, wala kaming pinipili because at the end, ang importante sa amin is to see each and every entrepreneur na ma-extend niya yung business niya at maging accessible siya online and through e-commerce. So, wag niyo isipin na you need to be groundbreaking for you to embrace technology and for you to embrace e-commerce. You just have to see how you can serve your customers better online and using this platform, using this technology. Lalo na ngayon, ang dami-dami ng payment systems. With the passage of the cybercrime law, you're more protected now if there will be cases that will be or offenses that will be committed against you as an entrepreneur or against you as your site, or if your customers will be affected, they're much more protected now. So we're entering an interesting phase. Sabi nga ni Donald Lim nung e-commerce entrepreneur summit namin last Saturday, e-commerce, it's time. We're entering a renaissance stage. It's e-commerce all over. Kung last year, it's the end of e-commerce as we know it, we're entering a rebirth stage for e-commerce. So I hope you will join the bandwagon and see how e-commerce can make your business better.
Here we
well
go with
said.
the last life-changing
Fresh.
piece of advice.
Exactly, Vince.
Fresh.
You know, pag nasa huli daw, grabe yung advice.
It will change
Oo.
your life.
Well
Dapat.
thought of and life-changing. Oo, no pressure. Sige, sir.
Or he'll dance.
Yeah.
Either.
Personal advice, wear yellow socks.
Parang ganyan nga ba? Okay.
No, but in all honesty, there is a business purpose for it. I actually saw a lot of talks and panelists, and I've seen yellow socks probably 3 times already, so I want to be the 4th. But in all honesty, you have to be presentable also, especially when you're talking to business partners, etc. There's an appearance that you have to portray, especially within startups. You can't always be in your hoodie, etc. In terms of real advice, talaga, actually start now. Now is the perfect time to start. There's this whole group with a lot of enablers, and there's probably 100 more out there that are just hungry for your ideas. And you can't learn unless you do. What is theory if you're not actually practicing? You can read all the books, you can learn all you want, but your biggest teacher will always be your experience. So I'll end with that.
Wonderful. Ladies and
Great
gentlemen,
advice. Great advice.
our wonderful, mga angels din to mga enablers. Uy, may hiyaw kayo kanina walang ganun. Okay, please stand up. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, palakpakan po tayo para sa kanila. Ang natira dito ngayon, magiging technopreneur at sisikat din. Oh, di ba? We'd like to invite Sir Mon Lopez and Sir Joy Concepcion to also do a little photo op with all our panel here who really took the time to answer all your questions. Lahat ng yan, Vince, ikaw.
I feel rich now. The knowledge I received today, I can use it. And hopefully, I'll email some of them. Hopefully, they respond.
You know what I want?
What do you want?
Ito lahat maging business partners mo.
That
Ayan
would be
na
a good
yun.
business. That would be a good business. And then stay